Once again, good evening, everyone. My name is Barney Tando, and another episode of the Club Growth Corner featuring no other than Jackie Snyder as District Director. I would like first to say thank you, everyone. Jan, Don, Dan, Cherry, of course, Eileen, and Linda. Thank you to all. Karen, of course, Margaret and Ruchi, part of Club Growth Assembly. Thank you for coming. And Bob, welcome. By the way, Bob is our next presenter next month. Something to look forward. But for tonight, let's focus on our great past district director, Jackie Snyder, who is a member of two Toastmasters Club in Calgary, and Jackie first joined the Grand Prairie Morning Toastmasters in 1989. With the encouragement of others, Jackie competed in a speech contest, was soon delivering over 200 speeches a year, and learning leadership skills. Jackie served on the board of Toastmasters International from 2010 to 2012. Please help me welcome our presenter, Jackie Snyder. Jackie, over to you.
Well, thank you so much. I almost wish Danny Hardy was here, because then I'd use his tagline, Schneeder, Schneider, Eater, Eider. and we actually come from an area of Switzerland where there's Schneiders and Schneiders. They mean the same thing, tailor.
Really?
And so when you see our symbol, it's a pair of scissors, and we actually have a family symbol that goes back to the 1400s.
Wow.
So it's really interesting. We have a copy of it. The original is back on the family farm in Switzerland, which is in the German part of Switzerland. Now we are the third generation. I say we, my sisters and I are the third generation on the farm, and we're coming close to 100 years on this farm. Now, I haven't lived back in British Columbia as long as some people have, as I lived in Alberta, because I lived in Alberta 35 years. But I'm hoping we're eligible for one of those 100 centennial farm families, because I think that's one of the neat and interesting things that they do in Alberta to recognize farm families. Now, why did I join Toastmasters? Karen, you can probably remember this. Because Karen was in the club when I joined, and I often tell Karen's story, and I tell a few other Grand Prairie Morning stories, because out of that club became excellence. And I am where I am because of Grand Prairie Morning Toastmasters. But the reason I joined was not because of leadership. I had no desire to go into leadership. I was doing public speaking, and I was doing training in my job as a health inspector. So I had to teach food safety, and I thought it was pretty good. My students did not. I had gone through 4-H, I had gone through Girl Guides, I'd earned my Canada Cord, I'd competed in 4-H speech contests, done all these things. But one day, one of the students in my food safety class came up to me and said, "Have you considered Toastmasters?" And I knew about the organization because someone who worked at the health unit in Grand Prairie with me was a member of Grand Prairie Morning. And so I said to her during the summer, because at that point I was doing an activity Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evening. And so I said, the best place for me to fit this in is in the morning, and early morning doesn't bother me. I said, lots of times at noon, I can't make a noon hour meeting because I'm traveling. So I started working it in the summer. By the time things rolled around in the fall, it was already part of my day. So it didn't really bother me to have those other things at the night. And the rest is history. 35 years, I'm still a member. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, why did I request that the picture from my trip to Newfoundland be used in this presentation? It's because when I went to Newfoundland, I took a chance. They were only allowing 400 people to go on that trip. Now, that sounds like a lot, and for a Girl Guide event, it is a lot. But everybody in Canada wanted to go to Newfoundland. One, because it was so inexpensive, because it was with the Girl Guides. So they made sure it was inexpensive, but worth the value. And we had the opportunity to travel before or after the big convention. So I took a chance and I went. And then afterwards we traveled and we took lots of chances. One of them was to book this iceberg tour. And we saw amazing, absolutely amazing icebergs. And because I was by myself, I got to sit in the front of the boat. So I got to see absolutely everything. And people took tons of pictures of me because I was where I was sitting. Now, if I hadn't taken a chance, I wouldn't have got to go to Newfoundland. So the first thing is taking that chance. Now, if I hadn't taken a chance and joined Toastmasters, I wouldn't have gone where I went with my job. Because by the end of my job, yes, I was doing 200 presentations a year. If I hadn't taken a chance, I wouldn't have sat on the board of Toastmasters International. I wouldn't have applied for accredited speaker. I wouldn't have competed in speech contests. I wouldn't be playing piano at nursing homes every month. I'm doing things now because I took a chance. And so when you join Toastmasters, what was your reason for taking that chance? And who else do you know that needs to take a chance on their life? Now, I find Karen's story interesting because before she felt ready to jump in, what did you have to do, Karen?
I took a course at the college with Joe Calenda, who might ring a bell for some names. And at the time, I was a school board chair and couldn't stand up and say my name without turning red, let alone be coherent. So it was a really big deal to get enough confidence to join a club.
Yeah. So I tell Karen's story all the time that some people need to take, I think it was called get the fear of public, get out of, no.
Yes. Yeah. Lose your fear of public speaking.
Lose your fear of public speaking, right? Before she joined Toastmasters, right? And I tell Dana's story, and Karen probably remembers Dana. It took her 6 months to get the courage to stand up and say, "Hi, my name is Dana." When she completed her first level, she got a job promotion and became manager of the store she was managing. Right? Because we supported her, we encouraged her, we did what it took to get her where she needed to be, because she knew it was such a strong fear that she wasn't going anywhere if she didn't get over that fear of public speaking. And so she continued to come, and 2 years later, she's getting this job promotion after completing the first 10 speeches in our traditional program. Right? So I'm going to talk about the 3 R's tonight, but the first principle of adult learning is not me spending the whole hour lecturing. And so what I'm going to do is I want you to take a piece of paper if you have one in front of you, and I'm really glad this is being recorded, because what I would do is I want you to write down at the top of your piece of paper, but even if we're recording this, I can listen to it later and I can do this and send it out so Eric can further it on. But write recruit and then leave room for some notes, write recognize, and write retain. So those are the 3 R's: recruit, recognize, retain. Okay, so I am also going to, and I'm going to include you in this, you, the audience, because you're going to learn as much from each other as you are going to learn from me. I mean, yes, I've been a member for 35 years, but Dawn and Eileen, how long have you guys been members?
I'm turning 41 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan, how long?
Next month is 30 years.
30 years. Okay. And who else did I see on the screen that I'm
Rob.
thinking?
33 years for me.
See, I'm just
Okay.
the youngster compared.
33 years. Okay. And who is our newest member?
I'm 84, Jackie, so I would be 40 years in August.
See,
Wow.
look at that, 40 years. And when I started talking about the 100th anniversary of Toastmasters and me being around for 35, it doesn't seem like it.
No.
Right. And when you think about this organization, and that's part of what helps with the third R, the retaining, right? I don't stay because, yeah, I want to learn things about public speaking, but I find a couple things. One of the reasons I stay is if I don't practice my skills, I lose my skills. So I give speeches quite regularly, but I also do other things that will help my leadership skills and my communication skills. And the other reason I stay is helping other people. So I still do a lot at the international level. And this year, again, I'm campaign manager for someone from the other side of the world, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. So when we talk about retaining members, there's a different reason they're staying as opposed to recruiting members. So when you recruit somebody, their needs are going to be dramatically different than people who've stayed for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So, but I want you to write down all three of those: retain, recruit, and recognize, because some of those things will overlap, but some of the things will stay the same. And easy to remember are, we have some items that Toastmasters International has used for years. So you all hopefully know the name Dan Rex. He is currently our CEO of Toastmasters International. He joined the organization, I would say, within a year of me joining the organization. So I still have that picture of him from the magazine, introducing him as the new marketing manager for Toastmasters International. So approximately 35 years ago. And when he came, one of the things they started was a more, not advanced, but a more solid marketing plan. And Von Erich had circulated the item about how to build membership within your club, and it had 3 ways. What's the first membership building contest happens August, September that Von Erich had circulated?
Ralph Smedley Award.
Yeah, the Smedley Award in honor of our organizer. The person who started our organization, Ralph Smedley. Okay, so if you recruit 5 members, August, September, and I still think of September as the new year. So oftentimes I'll talk to people and say, okay, this is a great time to join Toastmasters. One of the reasons I joined in the summer is because the club was still going. People can't join a club if it's not going in the summer.
Yeah.
So summer clubs, make yourself known. Make sure that people know that you're open in the summer. And even if it is every 2 weeks, even if it is different types of things. One of the clubs in Calgary is called the Vibrant Speakers. Donna Wheaton, another past international director, is a member of that club. And she hosts a barbecue. That barbecue is open to anybody and everybody, Toastmasters or not. But it's a non-threatening way to introduce people to the club members and to Toastmasters. So they do a couple of things like that are outside of their regular meeting space, but it gets people familiar with the Toastmaster membership and it gets them interested in what Toastmasters can do for them. So even if they aren't formal Toastmaster events in the summer, why not? Now, in the last couple of years, of course, we've had COVID, but we've also lost our fall conferences. But who's to say we have to have speech contests in January and February? Why can't you hold your speech contest in July, August, September?
Mhm.
Nothing that says the speech contest shall be this month. You just have to make sure that you're following the rules of that particular year's contest.
Mm.
Any other idea for summer and recruiting?
We meet at Dunvegan, which is a provincial park, in the summertime, outdoors,
In-
in a beautiful site. And it's again open to everyone, and we sometimes have campers come in and sit in and hear what's going on, or we chat with them afterwards.
That'd be good.
It's a fantastic way of doing it.
Toastmasters in the wild.
Yeah.
Instead of wild Toastmasters.
Yeah.
It's like back in the day, we used to have the training in Red Deer and then do the ropes course.
Yeah. So lots of things can take you out. I know one of the clubs, they organize regular hikes, right? It's another way of socializing, getting to know the members, and doing it in a way that's not intimidating for guests coming out. And so they are more apt to join when they officially start in September. Now, I get asked this question all the time. How old do you have to be to join Toastmasters? What's the age?
18.
18. Yeah. Is there any other restrictions?
Have to be breathing.
Hey.
I think the other one is you have to have reasonable expectations of being able to benefit from the program, which would mean pretty much anybody.
As long as your e-transfer clears, you're good, you know.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you look at the people in Chrysalis, right? When you visit that club, it's amazing. And we have a similar club in Calgary, and they are called Everyone Belongs. But what they did was they presented the awards to people who really stood out for inclusion. And they practiced it at their Toastmaster club. And what growth they had, well, they are members of Toastmasters, right? And so when you think about growth, you think, okay, well, you start here and you kind of go up from there, but everybody starts whatever level they're at and then goes up. So you could start at whatever level and keep going up. The opportunities in membership are unbelievable. But second question I get is how much? Okay, so first of all, how old do you have to be? Second question I get, how much does it cost? Okay, so this is a little tricky coming in now because we're just going into a dues increase, right? So we're looking at approximately
90.
Yeah, depending on what club dues you have, but you're going up to $60 US for 6 months, right? And then if you have to pay extra expenses or you use your club dues for different things. So there's going to be a little bit of that. But the other thing is now a member can fill out that application online without ever having notified the club. So you have to make sure you're checking your club business all the time because someone could submit that. And if you have self-pay checked on the website, they could pay their dues without you even knowing and be a member of the club. So just make sure you're checking under club business to make sure that's done. If you don't, every member in the club should know what the club dues are and how to fill out the Toastmaster membership form. So that if anybody asks any member, they could get them signed up and voted in right away. So take a peek at that membership form. It's been changed a few times. What's confusing to people is the amount they have to pay. So sometimes clubs have them pre-filled out with the Canadian dues or the number in Canadian dollars. But there's also some important items that people should read on the back. Okay, so August, September is the Smedley. What's the other one that's an official membership building for recruiting people?
Talk Up Toastmasters.
Talk Up Toastmasters. And what months is that?
That's right now.
Right now.
February, March, yeah.
February, March. Okay. And again, people in the new year, they make New Year's resolutions. So one of the most successful things that people have that gets members out is open houses. So have an open house, run an outstanding program. Even if you have to borrow people from other places. So if your club is struggling with members, then have an extra couple of people come in to do duties. and showcase your program. Have someone come in and do a speech. At the last open house we had, one of our members talked about how much her pay has increased because of Toastmasters. And 180% is how much her pay has increased. Her job positions have also jumped because of her involvement in Toastmasters. So find someone who has been maybe monetarily affected, maybe status affected. Somehow it's really affected what they've done. And take a look at what your club serves, because each club has a different culture. So if you have a club that is more of a business person type of club, then target your open house speeches to those type of people. This is how it's helped me. We had one of our members talk about the interview skills they gain by being a member of the club. Because they work in IT and have changed jobs about 6 times, we have drilled them through 6 sets of interviews. And each time they got a job, it was because of how well they did in the interview. So have them come in and share that story. Use people that can share a story like that. Okay, so have an open house. Now we're looking at another open house, and our open house date is May. What kinds of speeches do you think are people doing in May?
Pardon
What do
me.
you think is going to draw a guest to an open house in May for a speech?
Weddings, graduations.
Exactly, right? And what's our number one fear? Well, people would rather be in the coffin than giving a presentation, right? So they'd rather die than be up there on the lectern giving that eulogy or giving that wedding toast, right? So our speeches at our open house in May are going to be how to deliver a toast, how to deliver a speech, how to accept, like those special occasion speeches. And if you look under level 3 of the paths, all of them have an option for special occasion speeches as one of the electives. Now you can jump ahead in your path. Nothing says you have to have completed level 1 before you do level 3. You won't get credit for level 3 until you do level 1, but you can jump ahead and do that speech on special occasion speeches as a sample speech at an open house and get credit for it. So when you choose, or when you do an open house, think about, okay, who is my audience for this particular open house? And I would say now most people are hearing about Toastmasters through what way? When people come to your club and they say, I heard about the club by, what do they say?
Usually they go to the Toastmaster site or find your site, something, Facebook or something. They've come
Yeah.
via the internet.
Word of
Yep.
mouth.
Yep. So
Sometimes
word of mouth
LinkedIn.
is big, and the website. Toastmasters International gets 10,000 inquiries a week.
Too bad they don't pass them
When
on
they
because we don't get
forward,
our share.
yeah, when they forward that inquiry to the club or to a number of clubs where that person lives, there's very few clubs that follow up. Are those clubs gaining members? No, because they're not following up. But every club that follows up gains members. We have gained 3 members this year because of that. Our club president is staying on top of following up on those referrals from Toastmasters International. And it's not like we are a club that has a lot of social media presence either. We have our free Toast Host website. So the referrals are coming from just somebody following up. Okay, some other, what's the last membership building program started?
Before we move off open houses, something that we've done a few times, we just did it a couple of weeks ago in one of my clubs, and that is to have an informational open house. So we happen to be in a building with a big atrium. or if they've got if you've got the other place we did it, we had a big boardroom on the main floor. So we put out stations. So we talked about pathways, we talked about leadership, we talked about the most popular station often is the impromptu speaking. So we had to have people manning each of these. So people can go around and talk about what you were talking about, low risk way of finding out. So we're just going to give you information. And we usually have something where they get sign off at each station, and then they put their name in for a draw. So that way we get their name and phone number.
Oh, good idea. Yeah, because you have to have a way of contacting them to get back to them, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, what's the last recruitment time?
Beat the clock.
May, June.
Yep, May and June beat the clock. Now, what is amazing to me, not only are members not submitted in May and June, so people don't make sure that the paperwork's in, but educational completions aren't submitted. And every year, districts lose and clubs lose out on distinguished status because somebody missed out on the paperwork. So make sure all that paperwork gets in. A member can't start on their program until their paperwork is at Toastmasters International. They won't get the information they need to get started on pathways until that's there. So same with education completions. Nobody will get credit for it until it's all at Toastmasters International. And unfortunately, or fortunately, their busiest time is that last 3 weeks of June. So get it in as early as you can so that the club and the member gets credit for it. Okay, any other questions on recruiting? Now,
Well,
I haven't printed out my copy, but what did we all get in the email the other day? The March 2024 magazine. Outstanding on membership. So I would say take a look at it because it has some outstanding ideas on how to recruit members.
one thing you didn't mention, Jackie, was Speechcraft.
Yeah. And Speechcraft is probably one of the best club builders. Yeah.
I went to a session we had here last month with Cheryl Roos. You know, I'm sure you know Cheryl.
Yep. Sparkle Lady.
And I took her, she had a flyer that was just great. So I was going to use it for a Speechcraft we're having. And then I noticed at the bottom something I've never seen in all my years. It said your fees will cover all the costs associated with this Speechcraft, plus gives you the opportunity to attend club meetings till the end of September. So what they were doing was they were signing people, they were charging them $100 or something and signing them up as members for Toastmasters so they could continue attending the club. You think there's any problem with that with World Headquarters?
You know, as long as they're voting them in, I don't think so. But what's their retention number going to be, right? Because then when they go for the distinguished, if they're not retaining those members, then they're going to have a hard time keeping that distinguished number, right?
That now you'll have the members there for June, so your club will be a club in good standing for the district at the end of June. Then it's up to you because you're going to talk about now. When you get them there, what do you do to keep them there?
Yeah,
and that's up to the club to do. And I think with mentors and so on, I think it'll work. Because the other way we do it is just to charge them a fee and then say, well, hey, would you like to join at the end? We'll do it for nothing. Well, no, I just came for 6 weeks. Bye.
yeah. I mean, I probably out of the ones I've been involved with, 75% stay.
Do they? Well,
yeah. Because I think the other thing that they find in Speechcraft is, number one, you're doing speeches, you're jumping in right away, but the other value added is the mini educational sessions each time. Right? So they're learning about the art and science of public speaking and leadership.
Yeah, that's how I joined Toastmasters. Was I don't know if I want to make the jump, but I'll try this 6-weeker, and then I stayed.
Yeah. And if you can have them come into the club and help them out and do things, get them involved right away. Even if it's just having someone act as the official greeter for that night, or as the all counter, something that is not so intimidating, but that they can give. And one effective way I've seen it done is to give their graduation speeches at the club that's sponsoring that speechcraft. Most of the speechcrafts I've seen done have been outside the club, but some of them have been inside the club. I've seen it work both ways, but it's a great program. Okay, how are we doing at 7:30? Everybody okay? I hope you've got water or something close. That's one thing I learned from working from home is I always have a cup of water nearby.
One other thing, Jackie, is I wondered over the years, I see people, we talk about the number one way to get people is personal contact. But people don't feel comfortable. In fact, I had many people tell me, oh, I don't like to sell. No, I'm not a salesman. And I tell them that, well, selling is about finding out what people need and giving it to them. Right.
Mhm.
So Toastmasters is all, we got a big bag there with all sorts of stuff in it. And but what I've come to the conclusion though is that maybe we need to do some role playing in our clubs, approaching somebody, talking to them, asking them to come to a meeting, that sort of thing. Have you ever seen anybody do that, or what do you think of that idea?
Yeah, it's a great idea, right? Because it helps people get that comfort level. Yeah. Good idea, Bob, to use your thing for a role play session. I think that'd be a really good idea. Yeah. It's funny because I used to do kind of a soft sell because and I still do this, right? When I stand up, I'll say, my name is Jacquie Scheider. I'm half German and half Swiss, which means I eat chocolate at Autobahn speed. I have been a health inspector for 35 years. I am a member of Girl Guides. So guess what that means for you guys? And they say, oh, we get cookies at this session. Yes, you do get cookies at this session. And then SAL, I'm also a member of Toastmasters. So if anybody wants to find out about that. And then what I'll do is I'll keep throwing it in. Right. And usually by the end of the session, people will come up to me and say, what is Girl Guides? Or they'll want more information. And they'll say, what is Toastmasters? And they'll want more information. Right. And so I might not necessarily sell them on my club, but I might sell them on the organization. And I think, okay, I heard about Toastmasters before I ever joined Toastmasters. I didn't join until I was out of college because it just didn't work. But I heard about it because it was in the local newspaper here in Invermere Radium. I heard about it because there was a club at British Columbia Institute of Technology where I went for school. So all these different little opportunities, if you keep on hearing about it, it might be the right time and the right space and the right location for somebody to join. So having a whole bunch of people talk about it also adds to how successful anybody can be at getting other people to join, right? It just has to fit. It has to fit with what people are looking for. And it has to fit their lives, right? I often ask, one of the questions I ask candidates who are running for office is, what are you going to give up? Because everything that you're doing takes time, right? And so if people don't have enough time for Toastmasters, they're not going to stay. And I think that becomes the other part is how do you retain them? So one of the members that joined my morning club in Calgary was incoming president of the Calgary Real Estate Board. So he was in charge of he was president for over 4,000 members of Calgary Real Estate Board. That's a lot of people. And he knew there was 3 key messages he wanted to get across in his term as president. So he joined. And he stayed for 2 years. Now, every time we have a social event or an anniversary or anything where we're inviting our alumni back, then he comes because he says, I gained so much by joining Toastmasters for those 2 years. Once he became president, he had no time at all. But for the 2 years he was there, he was a member, and he still retains and recruits for us because of what he gained by being a member. Now, he ran out of time, and that's often the thing that will take people away from Toastmasters. When I think about why people leave, it's usually because they're not satisfied with, it's usually, sorry, let me say that again. People leave Toastmasters not because they're not getting out of the program what they want to, it's because something else is coming forward that's more important at the time. Now, I saw this really clearly in Grand Prairie. When I became president, I had no desire to be president. But what was happening? People wouldn't leave Grand Prairie Morning Toastmasters because they wanted to get out of Toastmasters. They left because they got transferred. They got transferred to Fort St. John, to Dawson Creek, to Prince George, to Edmonton, to Calgary. And we lost them. So the year that Brian Mulvihill got transferred out of Grand Prairie, Karen Agee came up to me and said, would you consider serving as our club president? No, Karen. I wouldn't consider. She goes, well, this is what we'll do for you. And lo and behold, I became club president of Grand Prairie Morning. That's the thing. So figure out, why are your club members staying or going? So one of the things that we don't use as much as we should, a member interest survey. What is keeping those members here? What would continue to keep them here? And why are they staying? So there may be things that you can add or take out or do whatever you want, but find out what the members are interested in. It, especially now with things like SurveyMonkey, it takes very little time to put a survey together. So you can use the member interest survey that Toastmasters International has, but you can also develop one of your own that's specific to your club. Challenge some of those members that have been around for a while. Now, one of the things that's in Pathways, once you have completed level 2 or on your level 2 of your path, it opens up without you even asking the mentorship program. Okay, so you are asked to mentor someone on a short-term project, and then you're asked to mentor someone on a longer-term project. So you can do that as part of your path. And I am working through 3 different paths because of how many speeches that I give. And I just did my level 2 project 1, and there was my mentorship waiting to be opened. Okay, so take advantage of that because they make it simple for you. And the first part of it, and you can get credit for it just about right away, is helping someone through a project. My mentee at my Toastmaster Club said, Jackie, I'd like to serve as contest chairman. Can you help me with that? That was his project. I helped him. I mentored him on that project. I got credit. Now I'm looking at a project for my longer term mentorship. So challenge them to serve as a mentor. Challenge them to try a path. Now, some of you might know Dick Myers because Dick has been a member of Toastmasters about the same length of time I have. He was a Toastmaster member in Hawaii, but he has been a member in Calgary for years and years and years, served District 42 in a number of different ways when we were all one district. And when Pathways came out, he said, I can't do this. Number one, he didn't have a new computer that would help him get through. And even though he phoned TI, he still couldn't get it working. And jointly, they couldn't get it working. So Dick said yes when the staff member at TI said, can I send you a print edition? So Dick got his first print path. And guess what? He worked his way through all 5 levels of that. Dick has now gone through 5 paths, working on the print version. Now, I know that they have said, yeah, we're stopping the print version, but there's nothing saying that you can't print it off and give it to those members that would prefer a print version. And Dick has been so impressed by using the print version, he has actually helped other people get started in Pathways and work their way through. Now, this is someone who is not a spring chicken anymore. He just had his 80th birthday. I wouldn't have said that he would be the first person on Zoom, but he's regularly a part of that meeting and regularly helps out with the meetings where he's a member. So there's someone who has taken advantage of using the program in a different way. And we've retained him as a Toastmaster because when I talked to him, he was ready to drop out. Now, let me go back to Grand Prairie Morning Toastmasters. There was a bunch of us, and Karen probably remembers this. Gladys Blackmore was club president. But there was a bunch of us who were kind of, okay, how long do I need to stay in this organization? We were enjoying things. Grand Prairie Morning was a lot of fun. We were incredibly satisfied with the Toastmaster experience. But as many people do, you get to the point where, why am I still a member? At our Of the Year awards as a club that year, Gladys called a bunch of us up. Carrie, Gloria, myself, Karen, Jim Smith, and a couple of other people, Dolly Carlson. And she spoke specifically about each person. She handed each of us a bouquet of flowers. And she said, this is the value that you add to our club. Did we lose any of those people as members? No. Did we all stay on? We all stayed on for at least 2 years after that. The majority stayed on for even longer than that. By something that someone just took as time to recognize some of the more senior members in the club with a simple, this is the value that you add to our club. So it doesn't have to be the official Of the Year awards, but what a difference that recognition made to each of us. Now, Toastmasters does have Of the Year awards, Toastmaster of the Year, Rookie of the Year. You can invent awards. You can make them fun. One of the clubs in Billings, Montana. Oh, I got to take my background off. Let me show you this as soon as I get my background off. Any other interesting not recruitment, retaining ideas for retaining people? It's also a recognition idea, right? Because when she recognized us for what we added to that club. Okay, so here's what I picked up when I visited Toastmasters in Billings, Montana. Now, this lady had made these matches into a little recruitment / retention, but she used it for recruitment. It says, Toastmasters can light you up. Okay, this one. Whoops, I gotta go this way. Okay, look what's popping at Toastmasters. Right, and just attached that little card that she used for campaigning to a bag of popcorn. But what a good way of recruiting members, because then you could put those back on the grocery store shelf and get people interested in Toastmasters. But you could recognize them for silly little awards. So take a package of Lifesavers. And at your Of the Year award party, you could say, you're a lifesaver, right? Somebody who's done some fantastic things for the club that year. I made this suggestion when I came up and did officer training in District 99 a couple of years ago. Take that icebreaker gum. When someone does their icebreaker, give them that icebreaker gum for completing their icebreaker, right? It's a simple, low-cost recognition for them. Okay, and this is a good one if you want to retain or recognize people. do a moments of truth. What is drawing people to our club? What is keeping them there? Is there anything we can improve on in our Toastmaster program? Take a look. And Diane Wengland, she is from Minnesota. She is part of what is Region 4. And she has an article on retaining members in the March 2024 magazine. So some outstanding stuff for members of our region. Now, recognition can also just happen at meetings where things are happening. Okay, so if somebody completes an icebreaker, are you giving them a membership pin? Are you giving them a level, a pathway pin when they start their path? Are you giving them the path level that they've completed? Because there is a little attachment that goes with the pathways pin. This year, because we have a little bit of money in our budget, we will probably buy our members the 100th anniversary pin. So see what your budget allows. Does it allow for something that you can give to your members as recognition for being members? But also make sure you fill out the forms for the of the year award too, rookie and Toastmaster, and recognize those Toastmasters members who have gone above, over and above. Any other recruit or retention ideas that people have seen and they thought, oh wow, this works really well?
Jackie, it's Karen speaking. I would suggest letters to their employer
Yes.
is a really valued one. And at the same time, encouraging that member to, you asking their permission, but I think it helps them feel worthy as well, that this is a big deal to have completed a path or a designation or a project, whatever it might be. But the outside recognition really goes a long ways.
Oh, huge, huge. My boss, when one of those got sent to him, he came up and said, wow, I didn't know you did this. Right, because he had no idea what was involved with completing some of those awards. Yeah. Also, if you are part of a Toastmaster club where you meet at a company or have quite a few company members, make sure it gets recognized in a bigger way by the company. So at Alberta Health Services, depending on who was on communications, we used to be able to send them stuff quite regularly, and our Toastmaster members would get recognized. So it depends on the company, but sometimes it can pay off big dividends for sure.
We actually, when I got my DTM, and I didn't have anything to do with this, but they got the deputy minister who happened to be, well, it's a long story, but he was across town. I worked across town too, but I belonged to a club over here, and he drove over and gave a little speech.
Wow.
So I think there's a way to integrate in corporate clubs to integrate that. I went to Pat Johnson's thing last weekend. We District 6 put it on a whole morning, and we really need to get better connected to our corporations. But another thing in that regard is that, and I don't hear this very often, but I did the other day, and we should encourage people to do it. That's promotions or new projects they're working on or opportunities they've had at work. Like, we should make that a regular thing to share and celebrate.
Oh yeah.
In the club.
Yeah.
And may not just be on the job, but maybe they're running for school board. Who knows? I guess if they got elected, we know.
It's good because, I remember this at Rotary clubs, right? Is there anything for the good of Rotary? And then people would stand up and make those announcements. Well, I've been promoted because of, and so having a minute or two at the end of a Toastmaster meeting to recognize those accomplishments where Toastmasters has helped you, it's big. It's big. Now, I also want to say, though, it's also the little recognitions. I still have recognitions that people have sent to me. So I worked really hard when I was district governor, and I was district 42 governor in 2002, 2003. I sent out a lot of notes that year, but I still have people who would come up to me and say, Jackie, I really appreciate that note. and the things that you wrote. So writing a personal note and letting people know how much you appreciated what they did can pay off dividends. Not just for you as the person who's writing it, but for that person, right? What does it say about recognizing and retaining some of those members? Because I had the opportunity in 2008 to be the chairman of the International Convention in Calgary, I wrote a thank you to all of our 300 volunteers. Now, that was a big job, but all those volunteers said it was such an unexpected thing to get a handwritten note to say thank you for volunteering. That's something they probably would have done, but then they went on to do other things. I don't want to forget, because we have had a couple of these in the last number of years, but I was so happy to come up for Peter Coswin's 50th anniversary. I was so happy to come up for Neil Wilkinson's 50th anniversary. Unfortunately, I missed Dave Cartledge's 50th anniversary. But there are people who are celebrating significant anniversaries, some of them online today. Why not have a little celebration or a big celebration? We asked Ken Tanner when we were at Neil's 50th anniversary. He's 2 years away from being 50 years a member. He doesn't really want a big thing, but there's lots of people, I think, that would take the time to do something for Ken. In your club, who's to say that you shouldn't recognize the members who've been there 5 years or 10 years or 15 or 20? Because that's a significant amount of time that person has been a part of this organization, and look how much it's impacted their life and the life of the community that they're involved in. Because those people usually have gone on and held positions. I think about Dawn. Now, Dawn, just list off a couple things that you have gone on to do because of Toastmasters. I'm picking on you again, and I see you've got your thank you for coming back on.
No, that's a loaded question, and if we had half an hour, we could keep on going on this. But what it did, I think, is the confidence to be able to approach situations and deal with them very seriously and get the results that you want. I'm a very results-oriented person, and what Toastmaster did was give me the tools to be able to get from point A to point B very quickly, very concisely, and get what I want. Now, this sounds very selfish, but I am a man who likes to get what I want, and I go after it. Toastmasters has given me those skills, has given me the clarity, and definitely the greatest tool that I've learned with Toastmasters is, and I'm not going to get into this so much because I'll save it for the district, but it's also a good idea to know when to be quiet.
I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned as a leader is you got to listen more. Talk less, listen more. I think John Maxwell said it best when he said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We've got about 6 minutes left. Any questions, comments, things do you want to add?
Yeah, I want to talk about an event that we held just past Tuesday. And we were approached by Girl Guides.
Yay.
And they told us there were going to be like about 15 girls that they want a demo meeting. It's a little bit like youth leadership, but there was only the one meeting. And one of our members, she decided to take it up, and then she asked for our help. And afterward, and she gave each one of us a Tim Horton card. And it's not because of the value, because of the note that she wrote, that thank you for your support of this project, because she's taking it up as a pathway project to organize a special event, right? And we were so grateful that we were helping her, because we had so much fun that night. And there were only 10 girls show up because it was a cold night on Tuesday night. Everybody remember, right? And But I thought it was a very good gesture that to recognize we are a team. She recognized all of us as a team for helping her. But
Yeah.
that brings me to a question that the district against the recognition for having judges coming over to judge your meeting. So then I thought that we are doing a double standard. We know people love recognition, not because of the value. But then if somebody spend 1 hour, 2 hours and on Zoom and judging the contest, and why would the district against the such a good act? So then I just couldn't understand. And because I was the one who's going to be organizing the area contest, but I thought it would be a good gesture to recognize judges. But I was shut down and I go, no, the district doesn't agree. Well, she
Who
used
shut
the
you
word
down, Terry?
against. No, I'm not going to name names.
Yeah.
No, but it wasn't
But-
somebody in the organization. You know,
No,
here this
I'm
is
not naming
an ongoing story. In Alberta, there was people we gave people something for being a judge. In Saskatchewan, they didn't. And whenever a Saskatchewan person got into I don't know what you said, Don, but you know, Saskatchewan people argued that this was, you know, inappropriate. And you know, when I think I'm the district director this year, I think whatever you feel you want to do, you can do. It's a little bit fuzzy with Toastmasters. We can't be buying gifts for people, but if we're buying them, you know, a Tim Hortons card for $5, I don't think it's a big deal. But don't let it. The reason I ask is don't let people put you down. If they got a problem, come and tell them to call me.
No, because it's funny that in the email it says sending a thank you card is a good gesture. Then I go, well, you don't want me to do a e-team card because I can easily
Fine.
just send out e-team card. But you want me to send a card, a thank you card to the judges. How am I going to do it? We're on Zoom.
Well, you can't give out Tim Hortons
I'm
cards.
just so dumbfounded after reading that email.
You know, it's interesting because I think, and we have forgotten to talk to people instead of emailing or text, right? And I was texting back and forth with one of my club members yesterday, and because of a misinterpretation, I'm thinking, okay, this is going down the wrong way. So sometimes it takes having that conversation, right? And saying, okay, what is the best way to do this? I can understand privacy laws, but I think we also have to say, okay, we'd like to do the best for each of our volunteers, because one of the things that's been a challenge in the last, I would say, more than 5 years, you guys can help me out on this one, but getting volunteers for anything has been really, really hard. So whether it's a judge or an area director, it's been really hard to get people to volunteer for anything. And so I think whatever way we can recognize them, but I think something tangible where they can go back and reread it pays off big dividends. Because for some people, and I go back to the love languages, my love language is a gift. So if you give me something, I'm going to love it. For someone whose love language is something other than that, it's not going to be the same. So a handwritten note is probably the best place to start.
If you like that, you know, you bring up a good point, Jackie. To everybody here, if you haven't read the 5 love languages, get a copy of it. And it's not about, maybe it was written for romantic relationships, but people like different things.
Yeah.
And the book pulls out the different things that people like. And you need to know when you're talking with when you're dealing with somebody, what sort of love language there is. Some people like quality time. So if you buy them a gift, what's this thing? You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's really that is one of the most valuable books I've ever read. Oh, you don't have to read the book. Just go and Google it and find out what the points are. But it's
and once you know them, you'll probably pick it up really easy. Now, what I do want to say, because we're right on 8 o'clock here, and I know that Von Erich allowed for a little bit of extra time, but I want to be mindful of people's time. I put my email address into the chat. And so if you have questions or comments or ideas that you say, gee, why didn't we talk about this? Please make sure to send me a note, because I am going to type up some notes with this. I'll include some pictures of different things like those ideas that I shared with you on my screen. And I'll include some of those other ideas. But if you have something in the next couple of days that says, okay, I want to share this with Jackie, my email address is there. And Margaret, you also have it, right?
Yes, I do, Jackie.
Okay, so if you want, and Eric has it,
Yes.
and Ruchi. So there's 3 people that have it. If you're looking for if you have questions or comments after the session. Now, I just want to say, like I said, I don't know it all, but there's lots of people, including this whole group online today, that have some fantastic ideas. So if you have a chance, phone a friend and say, what can we do with this? Right? And they might give you some ideas. One of the best ideas we used in the last 2 years to help both my Toastmaster clubs, we had alumni events. So if you lost people through COVID, likely they got lost because the online thing, COVID thing, you name it, right? Whatever reason they got lost through COVID, send them an invite and say, we miss you. We have gained just this past month 2 members back because of that. So every year we have an alumni event where we invite past members back. And lots of times we've gotten members back because of that. So there's my last idea of the evening. It's been my pleasure to facilitate this session for everyone. And it's great to see my friends in District 99. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Jackie, for coming and presenting this to us. And I'm sure everybody got some out of it. And just a reminder to everybody, the recording will be posted on D99 once Glenn has a moment to do it. Bon Eric, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to give?
Yes, thank you, Margaret. And again, thank you, Jackie. Thank you very much for your presentation tonight. And again, I would like to say thank you to Maria G. Sagari from District 68. Yay! Thank you for visiting District 99.
Yeah.
To Don Elaine, Anne, Vice President of Power Speakers Club, wherein I'm one of the club coach. So thank you, Anne, for coming. Please share this word about your member. And also, as what Margaret said, this will be uploaded in D99 website. So please tell your friends about this wonderful presentation from our dear friend in District 42, Jackie. Again, thank you very much.